You're listening to the Backroom Beer League podcast with your hosts, Jacob, Nigel, and Greg. Bringing you your fantasy sports content recorded from the back room. To stay up to date, follow us at BRBL Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and rate the podcast to show us your support. Now, here's Jacob, Nigel, and Greg to talk fantasy sports.
We're recording episode 15 at 9:27 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26th, and you're listening to Jacob, Nigel, and Greg. This week's episode has our weekly fantasy picks, a ton of information about the NHL's new playoff format, the criticism of this format by two playoff teams, some words said by Damian Lillard about a return to action in the NBA, some NHL playoff hot takes, and that's about it for this week. So to jump right into it, my hot take, third week in a row, baseball.
Your fantasy player.
Baseball, my weekly pick, not my hot take. My weekly fantasy player for this week, another baseball player. 3 weeks in a row, Mike Tauchman. Going with the baseball pick for the third week in a row. I chose Mike Tauchman because A, he's a Yankee, B, he's an outfielder who is undervalued in a lot of leagues, and C, well, there is really no C. He's just going to be a better player going forward. He's going to be more useful to formats other than Dynasty going forward. And if you look at the Yankees outfield right now, and you look at Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks, and even Aaron Judge, all of these three players have something in common, and it's that they're injury prone. So their big three outfielders right now are all prone to injury, and Mike Tauchman isn't. And if Mike Tauchman proved anything in his platoon role last year, it's that he can produce a lot despite playing such little time. He only played 87 games last year, but he found a way to hit 13 home runs somehow. He also hit 47 RBIs and got walked 34 times. So going forward, I'd expect him to get regular playing time in the Yankees outfield because, as far as I'm concerned, at any given time, you're going to see either Aaron Judge, Aaron Hicks, or Giancarlo Stanton injured. The injuries pile up often, and although Clint Frazier is mentioned a lot around like the Yankees fan base as someone who could play in the outfield going forward in the future, he isn't worth a damn to the outfielding position because he can't catch a routine fly ball. Like, he looks lost. He looks like he's playing Little League out there sometimes. So the same could be said about Brett Gardner, honestly. He's a clutch hitter, but he's not much used to the outfield at times. And Mike Tauchman's a pretty good fielder. Maybe he's only realistic for deep leagues at this point in time, but he could be an asset to all formats soon enough, like I said earlier, and only time will tell.
You leave Brett Gardner and his dugout freakouts alone, mister.
I mean, Brett Gardner, love the guy. Clutch hitter, hits bombs sometimes, but man, oh man, like, I'm not going to say he's as bad as Clint Frazier, and he's actually a pretty good outfielder at times. I don't really have a whole lot of confidence when at certain points in the Yankees season, we have Brett Gardner, who's on his last legs in his career. We have Clint Frazier out there doing something horrific and wherever he's filling in for. And then we have some other minor league player come up and try and play for Giancarlo Stanton or some shit. It's just, it blows my mind that nobody talks about Mike Tauchman more. So, and yes, I did like boggle my speech for the second time in a row. Like, last week it was the intro. This week I was talking about like hot takes
instead of
immediately
fantasy
going
players.
into my fantasy pick. So
Yeehaw,
whatever.
Fired. Yeah. Get out.
Yeah, fired.
Fuck off.
So who do you have to talk about, Nige? I really want to know.
Yeah, like you can't read the fucking notes, dickhead. Anyways, I'm going Homer this week. My fantasy player, going back to the sport of hockey, riding with Nico Hischier. Center for the New Jersey Devils. In 58 games in 2019, Hischier had 14 goals, 22 assists for a total of 36 points. Not a stellar season by most standards, but and most hockey fans who watched the Devils and Hischier realized that like post Taylor Hall trade, which is where most of his points came from, he was once they gave him a leadership role with the assistant captain, he was a far better hockey player. Once widely considered a bust, which again we've already been over how the fuck that word's used. But now again wearing the assistant captain, likely to wear captain soon, if not given his AJAC. Nico's production should easily continue to increase as this young team develops. Should be a guy you can grab really late in your draft that should pay off. He's not going to give you top 10 numbers, but like for as late as you're going to grab him, he should be able to easily get you some solid points.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Devils player and he's a great player. What more can be said?
That's it.
That's pretty much that. Nige could have just left it there.
My only fear is that the Devils are going to hire, instead of Gallant or Pete Laviolette, they're going to hire the New Jersey local slip mine or sledge hockey team coach, and we're fucked.
Well, there's one thing that I can say about Nico Hischier that's actually pretty cool, because I think not only that, he played in the Q, but he is Swiss. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. The fact that Nico Hischier is actually building a name for Swiss hockey. I mean, I know for years and years in the early 2000s, we were watching the World Juniors, Olympic hockey, and the Swiss would get absolutely pummeled. But more and more as you go into like 2016, 2017, 2018, the Swiss team's actually like picking up their shit pretty well. And I think it has a lot to do with players like Nico Hischier making it to the bigs.
Another one,
actually making a name for himself.
Another one that I'd put in there would be Nico Niederreiter.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's not the greatest in the NHL, but when it comes to international play, the dude is good.
Yeah, you're right.
The Devils have kind of been on like a weird European grind lately, outside of like Jack Hughes.
A weird European grind.
Guys like Jesper Bratt and Nico Hischier, they traded for Nikita Gusev.
I don't know, man, but welcome Backroom Beer League fans to my segment, which I like to call "I'm Not a Bitch Made Homer."
Call me.
And my weekly pick is from the world of football. And if you remember from our very first goddamn Backroom podcast episode,
Greg, are you gonna have a stroke?
Ranting. What?
Are you gonna have a stroke? You're struggling to get this out.
I had a frog in my throat, actually. Anyway, so from the very first episode, I'm gonna patent the term Mostert just by yelling it all the time and making my own, because I was ranting and raving about this dude for probably the first two episodes. I think that was like we started the podcast in the week before the NFC Championship game.
We started it
the week of
the night after Raheem Mostert.
The night after, right. Yeah, and absolutely ended Nigel's
and went for almost 200 yards untouched because Blake Martinez is a bum.
All right, that makes Giants fans feel very, very comfortable. So, Raheem Mostert is someone who's been in the league for 5 years, and if you're like me, I'm sure you guys as well, like you probably didn't hear the guy until the second half of last year.
He got snipped a lot.
That's because that guy has been on 5 different teams, cut from every single one of them, and had only played 13 snaps last year. But for his first 3 years in the league, he didn't see the field, not even once. And he last year, I mean, for the second half of the year, he kind of took the step up from Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman, becoming like this. I think he solidified himself as the number 1 running back on the 49ers. And they have a really solid O-line. They kind of did this whole running by committee thing last year, and I don't doubt that will continue, but I do think Mostert continues to get more carries because they did let go of Matt Breida, so that leaves the two of them. And I think that Coleman and Mostert really do complement each other, so I think that'll be that's a really good tandem, and I think it'll be exciting to watch. He ran for 772 yards and 8 touchdowns last year, which when you're on a team that's primarily running by committee, that's kind of impressive. And another thing that I really wanted to add was Joe Staley was an incredible offensive lineman playing at left tackle for the 49ers. He retires being a primary pass protecting offensive lineman, and then they trade for Trent Williams, who is incredibly, I think he's a step up from Joe Staley in the fact that he is extremely impactful on the pass and the run. So I'm going to be really interested to see what Mostert does this year when it comes to his stats. I want to see if he can kind of keep the pace that he finished the year at. When it comes to fantasy, I picked this guy up for the last 4 weeks of the season when I had absolute bums on my team, like Le'Veon Bell, who decided that he wanted to go fuck the dog and not get more than 50 yards in a game, be an absolute asshole. So I picked up Raheem Mostert, and I was like, you know what? God damn it, this guy had like one good game. Might as well. I mean, I think he was playing. I think he was playing like the Jags or something, and I was like, oh yeah, like let's set this up. And he got me like 30-something points. And he just continued this hot streak down the road. Man, I'm excited to see what he does. I really am, because I think he could be really, really good.
I'm not, because it's probably going to be fucking 200 yards against the Packers again.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, it's like the thing with Mostert, like you were saying, it's they run by committee, and he will definitely be a good pickup this season because he had such a hot streak going into the last 6 weeks last year. But it is kind of like an uncertain situation. Like they're going to have Jerick McKinnon back on the field as part of the running game this year in San Francisco, and it's crowded there to say the least. But I do think that because looking at the rankings last year in PPR scoring, it says that Mostert ranks 7th among running backs in PPR scoring, and he only really heated up for like the last few weeks of the season, like the last 6 weeks, like I said. So if that tells you anything, in a full season of that kind of production,
for a guy that I picked up in like week 13 of the year, week 12, I think the jump that he makes, I can see him being drafted, especially in like large leagues. I could see him being drafted in the mid to late rounds as like a backup running back that you can maybe use as a flex on certain matchups.
I would.
I know I'm not I will never be hesitant to draft him if he's available.
No, I'd definitely take a chance on him for like a second, third string and a flex, like you were saying. Like flex is a great option for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving into our weekly rundown, the NHLPA agrees to return and has approved a previously proposed 24-team playoff format. And under this format, the top 4 seeds in each conference will do a round robin to get seeded. The other 8 teams in each conference will play a best of 5 or best of 7. It hasn't really been decided yet, but I think it is best of 5. I think
it's
said
best
that
of
today.
5 for the first one, and then it's just like a regular 16 go.
Okay. Best of 5 for the play-in round. After that, things would generally resume like a 16-team Stanley Cup final. There will be 2 hub cities, one for each conference, West and the East, and the NHL season as we knew it is officially over. So that means that awards and stuff like that will be given out with the point totals from the season as it ended.
Also, very recently, they have decided the draft lottery will be the 7 teams out now and the first, like the other teams eliminated. So it would be like just like a 16. So like the first 8 teams out. So when it comes back to 16, those are also in the draft lottery.
Yeah, that's
I don't agree with
that's
it.
pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a perfect system. There's a lot of discussion on how to make this a better system, but you can't really discredit the NHL too much because obviously there's a lot of shit going on that they have to overcome and try and figure out. So this is the best thing I think they could have put forward in the time that they were allotted for creating a playoff bracket. I do like the play-in, but I don't really know how well the top 4 seeds are going to fare in the round robin because, and we'll get to this in the next kind of piece of the discussion, but some teams that are in the top 4 for seeding in that round robin tournament are a bit concerned as to how competitive those games will actually be. And they actually think that the teams that are in the play-in, the lower seed teams, are actually going to have a better way to prepare themselves because it's going to be like fighting for your life rather than just getting seeded, right?
Yeah. I don't agree with the 24 teams. I think we should have been fine with 16, but I get it. The NHL's money hungry and they lost revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, I feel like teams that are kind of on the brink, kind of like the Habs, are pretty much just used for ratings at this point.
Like if the Habs somehow beat the Pens,
Not going to happen.
I think Greg will jump off a bridge into the St. John River.
Not going to happen. That's a sweep.
That's what y'all said about Columbus last year.
Yeah, I mean, the Caps went 4-0 against the Canes last year, and we got swept pretty much. Like, we didn't get swept, but like we got swept.
Playoff hockey's a new breed of hockey.
It is a new breed of hockey.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, okay. Match Nick Suzuki up with Sidney Crosby and see what fucking happens.
Listen, nobody thought the Blues were going to win last year, and look what happened. Like,
swept y'all.
Literally,
they didn't sweep you. Islanders swept y'all.
Yeah, the Islanders did. They were so hot, though, dude. You know what I don't necessarily agree with, like almost the most in this new format, is the top 4 teams. Part of me thinks that they should just be seeded on how they finish, just like every other team in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't agree with the whole round robin idea. Like, let's be fair, Boston does not deserve to be the 4th seeded team in the East at all.
No, I mean, they're 10 points ahead of the Caps.
Literally not fair.
How are they the 4th seed, though?
Wouldn't there be around?
I thought they were the 1st.
No, but they technically are, but they're going to seed in this round robin. So if you have the weakest record coming out of it, you're going to be the 4th seed.
The 4th seed.
Yeah, so that is shitty.
I didn't know there was a round robin between those 4 teams.
Well, the thing is, they implemented the round robin so that they'd be playing, so they wouldn't have to sit.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was just about to say. Is like when I first read this new format, I didn't read over that section of it, and in my head, I was like, "Oh shit!" So you're telling me that the Pens are going to see the Flyers in the second round when the Pens have already played like a couple games of real hockey? Like that's a distinct advantage.
If there's a team that I literally hope loses, it's Boston. Fuck them.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if Boston were, like, honest to God, like, if Boston were to go play the Leafs or the Blue Jackets off playing no hockey, and they have, like, because that series is going to be good. I know they would, but say they have 5 games under their belt with an extremely hot Blue Jackets team. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that they lose, but I'm saying that they're going to be pushed further than they ever would be.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Especially with like, there's a lot of restrictions in place for practices and stuff, like social distancing. So it's not going to be even easy to practice as a team during this, even if you are like in this tournament. Like the hockey that you're going to be playing mostly is games, and if they didn't have this seeding tournament, this round robin between the top 4 seeds in each conference, I don't know what they do, because it would be definitely a disadvantage to the top 4 seeds. I do think this opens up the door for teams like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to come in, even though there is that round robin tournament to kind of get the teams ready in those top 4 seeds. I think the other 8 seeds in each conference are actually going to do better than the top 4 seeds.
Yeah, they
Well,
could.
the Rangers at 11 are dangerous. Dangerous.
They will be playing for their life as soon as they start the tournament, and the top 4 seeds are just playing for seeding. They're not under threat of elimination.
Right.
So they're pretty much like anything could go on in this seeding tournament. Like, do they want to rest their best players knowing that they don't need to play as hard? Do they, do stuff like that as sort of a preservation method? And does that actually hurt them in the long run, being less game ready and less played? I don't think it would make sense to rest players, I guess, because they've had like 2 months of rest. But
yeah, no, I think resting players wouldn't happen. It's just when you look at the 4 seeds, man, and if you find yourself, like, say you're Boston and you have a bad week and you find yourself in the 4th seed, you're gonna find yourself playing the Penguins instead of the Leafs.
That's shitty.
Right? Like, that's a big ass
shitty.
jump, dude.
I've been saying it, like, I think the teams that come out of this in the best way and have the best chance of winning the cup, the Flyers, Canucks, Rangers, and another team in the West, I'd probably say it's a high seed team. All my teams before this are low seed teams, but I think the Avalanche do have a pretty good shot at winning the cup this year.
They're my pick, honestly, to win it all.
I'd like to
They're
see them
really
win a cup.
Built team. Like, if they don't win it this year, they're going to be like a force for years to come.
Yeah, they were absolute dog shit in the past too.
Like, well, they haven't even made the cup since WA.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, that I wouldn't mind seeing like Columbus win the cup either.
Yeah, we had like that whole thing.
Because we've talked about any return to play in any sport being a championship with an asterisk beside it. And I mean, if a small market team won this cup that nobody else theoretically wanted because they didn't want the debate of whether it was legitimate or not, I think if it went to a small market team, there'd be less of a debate.
For sure. If I'm just going to use these 2 teams as an example, man. The Washington Capitals and the Penguins. If Ovechkin or Crosby wins this cup, that's going to be such a big, like let's use Ovechkin. Oh yeah, he has 1.5 cups.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
it's a stain on his legacy, even though it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
And to go further in this discussion on the same topic, the Canes and the Lightning both voted against the playoff format despite being part of the round robin and the play-in. So the Lightning is actually a seeded team. They're not even in the play-in, and they voted against the playoff format. And the Canes are in the play-in. The concerns for the Lightning are generally based around the top 4 teams not being fairly equipped. Like I kind of said earlier, they're not fairly equipped to handle playoff hockey when the play-in teams have a full-on competitive series. The Canes feel they should have had a further chance in the last games of the season to further climb up the standings and thus improve their chance to get a higher seed. And they also claim this format gives a little bit too much power to 9, 10, 11, 12 seeds because they also get a chance in the draft lottery.
Yeah, well, in the Canes' perspective, I mean, they just got really, really unlucky playing the Rangers in the first round. I mean, they are way better than that 11 next to their name. Especially, I agree. The way that they finished the year, like they're at 11, Florida's at 10. I think New York makes light work of Florida if that's a series. But
yeah,
so the Canes, I can see why they'd be upset. But them being upset is the same reason why this is happening in the first place, because Panarin acted like a little bitch. And
that's true.
And and I'm not saying it's just Panarin, but he was the lead voice of the players in this, right? The first one to step up and say something, mainly because the Rangers were surging.
NHL isn't going to want Panarin, who's in contention for the Hart, to not be in the playoffs.
Exactly. It's all revenue
It's like
based,
bad
right?
marketing.
Like the Canadians being in the playoffs, man. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Penguins fan, but we're absolutely gonna take the fattest shit on their bodies.
Yeah, the
They're gonna
Canadians
be
were
laying in
literally
the
a
dirt.
500 team.
Crosby's gonna teabag Carey Price. That's just how it's gonna happen. That's just how it's gonna go. But the fact that the Canadians are in the playoffs, there's so many goddamn Habs fans
them and
out
the
there, dude.
Blackhawks have no reason to be there, and it's purely because they're two massive Original Six fan bases.
Yeah, and and it's purely revenue based. The reason that they're there. I mean, I'm fine with it. Shit, let's go Habs. Good lord.
Well, playoff hockey on its own with a regular looking Stanley Cup playoff during quarantine and all this shit going on would have had boosted ratings as it is, and adding even more teams to the regular playoff format is just going to triple, quadruple the ratings that it usually gets.
I was a dumb guy when I was reading this. I'd never really checked. Is it heard when is it a known fact when this is going to start? I know it's not.
There's a date set for the earliest training camp can start, and that's July 1st. So I'd expect these playoffs to start late July.
Late July, early August. Damn, that's far away, bro. That's damn.
I was kind of excited. Now I'm like, fuck.
I was gonna make a point that this is gonna be the most viewed playoffs in recent memory, but then
I think it still will be because I don't know even will there be any other sports on? Look how much viewership a fucking golf game got because nothing else is on.
Holy fuck, Tom Brady sucks, by the way.
I really think that basketball isn't going to come back.
No. Unless that Disneyland proposal works.
I don't really know about that one. I think basketball is going to give it up because for whatever reason, I think there's more debate around the title in basketball having tainted.
There was the LeBron, Giannis, Clippers.
Yeah.
Harsh shit.
Giannis.
Fuck you. You know what I meant.
BRB when I put my head through a goddamn wall. I'm kidding.
I think there's more debate around that title than hockey. And I also think baseball is going to come back as normal because it didn't even start.
Have a shortened season.
Yeah.
And when it comes to
Mets though, because they had so much left to play.
I mean, going back to the Canes and Lightning voting against this playoff format, I think that's a bit extreme, even despite I actually think the Canes might actually have a bit of an argument to make here because it does give a lot of power to 9, 10, 11, 12 seeds, and it doesn't really benefit 5, 6, 7, 8.
What are the Lightning bitching about? They get Stamkos back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Lightning are literally so beneficial to them.
They had a shot to have to play a first round without Stamkos, and now they get a bye.
They're a seeded team, and they're complaining about it. They voted against it.
The only valid reason, the only valid argument that I could see the Lightning possibly making is they would have to admit that they're dog shit in the playoffs. In that they're gonna choke in the 4-team round robin and find themselves playing Pittsburgh in the first round, or even the third seed playing Carolina or New York instead of playing. I mean, the Islanders are hot, but they're far less dangerous than Pittsburgh or the Rangers, in my opinion.
The thing that's most striking to me about this vote is that the Lightning knows the jig is up this year if they get shelled, because last year they were embarrassed. They were embarrassed last year, getting blown out of the water. 4-0.
They gave up
against the Jackets.
A fucking good prospect and a first for Blake Coleman from the Devils. They've gone all in this year.
I would absolutely love for the Lightning to just sweep the round robin, get the first seed, and then get swept by the Blue Jackets again.
Be kind of
That would
funny.
be so
Oh
badass.
my lord.
No, I swear to God, I didn't get into like betting on the money line last year in sports, but I swear to God, I hate the Lightning so much for whatever reason. I would have bet on the Jackets every single
Who
game
does
and
Jacob
won a
hate more,
shit ton of
Vegas
money.
or Tampa?
Vegas.
The Leafs. The Leafs. That's who I hate more. Vegas and Tampa are probably tied. Actually, I'd probably
Jacob
give the edge
just
to
hates
Vegas.
Vegas because they're from Vegas.
Bring on Seattle. I'm tired of this bullshit waiting for Seattle to reveal their name and logo. Like, come on. I'm so deprived of something like good news related to sports. Like, I just want them to reveal their shit already. Like, I want to get excited
What do you
for
mean,
this.
man? Eli Manning joined Twitter.
Yeah,
That's actually a fucking gold mine.
He's actually a pretty badass guy on Twitter. Not
The
gonna lie.
Mannings are so funny, man. That's not even me being
Peyton in that
biased.
golf tournament was talking to the caddy. He's like,
Yeah.
I was thinking of Eli, Nick Foles, maybe Bill Belichick.
Man, he grilled Tom Brady. He grilled Tom Brady so
and
bad.
he was like, hey, Tom, look, it's Atlanta. He's like, it's not the Falcons I cringe, it's the Eagles.
And I was like, you're making yourself look like a fool because Tom's probably actually pretty good at golf. But then he goes out and shit the bed.
Peyton don't even need
so
time.
nice.
Outside of that one shot, Tom played like shit.
I know.
To be fair, Tom got some good licks in at Peyton, too.
I mean, if you were a sickening Patriots fan, you'd say, well, Tom Brady's never had time to golf because he's been too busy winning championships. Well, that might actually be true, and I'll give them that. But, still, work on your golf game if you're going to be in a golf tournament like this.
Bro, that argument would be
you wanna
completely
play
invalid. The football off season's in the summer. You know that dude's been out golfing.
Yeah, the next topic is Damian Lillard says he's going to sit out the NBA's resume to play format if it's done the wrong way. He's publicly said in an interview to Yahoo Sports that he will sit if the Blazers aren't given a fair chance to make the playoffs, and saying, quote, if we come back and they're just like, we're adding a few games to finish the regular season and they're throwing us out there for meaningless games, we don't have a true opportunity to get into the playoffs, I'm going to be with my team because I'm a part of the team, but I'm not going to be participating. I'm telling you that right now. It's a losing attitude.
Man, like, Portland had been on a hot streak, and then they started sucking.
Well, yeah,
they were like, Melo will make us a good team
through no fault but their own. Well,
Lillard had that good stretch, and then he kind of pooped.
Yeah, and then he tried to rap at the All-Star game.
He's the most underrated point guard in the league.
He is, and he makes Houston his bitch.
I think he's 20 times better than Kyrie.
Yeah, but Kyrie's got the fucking namey, whiny appeal to him. People love whiners, man.
I just don't know why he'd come out and sound like such a jackass, though. I get it if the Blazers went on this, and they went on this shitty losing streak, and it's questionable if they're going to be given a fair chance to make the playoffs. Make the best of it and just be a team player and be like, I can't wait until we come back and play basketball. It's not hard to be like a good guy in this situation.
Man, normally I'd be fully against what he's saying. And I'm not saying I'm for it, but you really think in your heart of hearts, if LeBron James and the Lakers weren't in a position to make their way to the playoffs, that he'd be playing? He wouldn't. He just wouldn't.
Like, I kind of get his point because it's like, why waste my time? Why risk injury? I'm not going to do anything.
But at the same time, I think he might, though. Like, if LeBron didn't have a chance to make the playoffs, I still think he'd play because...
No, bro, LeBron's a whiny bitch, dude. I really don't think he plays.
I think he is, too, but at the same time, he has no idea what load management is because he just plays.
Yeah, he's not Kawhi.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's Kawhi when it comes to load management, but to be fair, LeBron created load management.
That man can't go to 2 family game nights. He's got to load manage one.
That's true, but LeBron, in essence, LeBron created load management with his last 2 years with the Cavs.
He
created it, just as like the same way he created the idea of the super team.
I hate
even if
load
this is
management in all
true,
sports.
even if this is true, I still think he'd do it to like preserve his legacy as being humble and shit, even if he's not humble and shit. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I still think he'd do it for the PR, even if he had no chance at all of winning.
Yeah, I don't know. I still have doubts in him, but
right now, like, I don't think he could not play.
Yeah. Here's my thing.
Yeah, the NBA would have a stroke if he didn't play.
Adam Silver would beat his ass.
Yeah, one thing that I don't necessarily enjoy about this idea is, like, does it affect the draft lottery? Because what if teams like the Trailblazers, or not even necessarily the Trailblazers, but like the Timberwolves, like, you know, like Carl Anthony Towns' mom passed away from the coronavirus. What if he just says, fuck it, takes the rest of the year off? The Timberwolves blow every game that they have. What if they end up with the worst record of the Warriors?
What if they purposely? What if teams are like, oh hey, why don't we?
You're going to see some fat tanking, dude. Unless they set the positions, you're going to see the fattest tanking.
I'm surprised they brought Steph back for that bit. But if they have regular season games,
he won't
play. No,
he will not play.
We're going to do hot takes on the NHL playoffs right now. The first hot take on the list. Nigel wrote them again.
These are Nigel's hot takes.
They're actually pretty good, Nige. They're actually pretty good. I got to give you credit. The first hot take is the return of Stamkos allows the Lightning to make a strong run at the Cup.
I'm saying yes, man. As much as they're chokers, Vasilevsky's literally going to win the Vezina this year. There's no way you can't give it to him. He's fucking
unless he shits the bed entirely.
He could, but the Lightning, they've put way too much talent on that team to not at least make some decent run.
You see, the thing with Vasilevsky, Nige, is that he can do everything in the regular season, and then he gets paired up with the Blue Jackets like last year, gets completely steamrolled.
That's fair.
Completely steamrolled. Like, there were games last year that the Blue Jackets had to come back by like 3 or 4 goals in the second and third period, they did it.
Freddie Anderson of Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
The second hot take.
Okay, fuck my opinion. Fuck my opinion.
Well, you were silent for the whole take.
All right, Greg, spit it out.
Yes, there.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay, next hot take.
Don't come at me, you orphan Andy looking fuck. Tea-kettle sounding bitch.
You're going to like this hot take. The old age of the Pens fails their cup dream. Yes.
Okay, but if you say that about the Pens, I'll say the same thing about the Capitals.
Yeah, but the Pens are like super old.
Man, I got to be honest. If the Pens had any thoughts on like cup
goals, won the Metro this year?
Like Patrick Marleau, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, like they're all fucking
Who's sitting
old.
in third in the Metro? Not even second in the Metro. You're under the Philadelphia Flyers, for Christ's sake.
This is
yeah, that's true. So one argument that I would make to defend the Penguins is for starters, like, this is the best shot that they could actually have. Because if the playoffs, if the season were to gone on and to completion, and they were to grab
the fucking Canadians,
that, and we also wouldn't, there'd be no rest included. You'd see the old age come out and like smack you in the mouth playing. Like, say we would have gotten lined up with the Flyers in the first round by the looks of it, we would have gotten our asses kicked, right? But I do think that the break gives them the best shot, like gives us the best shot that we ever would have had. I'm not being a delusional ass fan saying that we have a shot, because I really don't think we do. I mean, I do think we beat Montreal. I think we have I think we have a good series with the the team that comes in fourth. But at this point, the reason I don't mind the 24 team bracket is it's because it really truly does give us the best chance to make it as far into the playoffs than we would have had beforehand. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'll give you this. Like, you're a gritty team. like the Pens have always been a gritty, like hard to play against team, even if they are old. They've always been old, even in the glory days of the Crosby era. Like you've always had like Paul Martins of the world on your team, and
Mark
like
Recchi, Bill Guerin.
Yeah.
But, like, this team is like insanely like.
Nigel, you're acting like Patrick Marleau is like a pivotal part of our
but
team.
like Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are like your two big name players are both.
I don't know, bro. I watched the game live this year, and Malkin controlled it every single second he was on the ice.
Like I'd say that the Caps are aging. Like Nick Backstrom and Ovechkin aren't what they used to be, obviously, but I would say that Nick Backstrom is still mobile with the puck. Ovechkin doesn't need to be mobile with the puck because he just sits on the hash marks.
Okay,
And
is Crosby mobile with the puck?
If you want to make the case about Ilya Kovalchuk,
is Malkin mobile with the puck? Is Jake Geinsel a young stud? Is Chris Letang possibly effective?
Chris Letang's injury prone. Malkin can't stick handle his way out of a paper bag anymore. And Crosby, you hit him once. You hit him once.
Jake, you can act all tough. You can act all tough because Ovechkin has his one little goddamn pussy cup. Like, we've been through this before. It's not our first goddamn time. Who in the fuck would have thought that we would have won the cup 3-4 years ago? Nobody.
You literally were like a fucking dream team. Phil Kessel, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Like,
oh yeah, because Hot Dog Phil made all the difference.
You went fucking back to back with him.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Not like he had the largest effect. Look, okay, we replaced Phil Kessel with Geinsel. Who's better right now?
I'm just saying, Greg, if you get like shelled by the Canadians because they play their heart out, I'm gonna have no mercy.
Okay, Jake, that's fine. This is why I love
not being in this, because I have no ties and I can just fucking rail on everybody.
Yeah, you can just talk about Andy Green and
Jake, that's fine.
Sure.
Jake, that's fine. When you go 0 wins in the round robin and we sweep your bitch ass in the first round, we can come.
Who's in the play-in? Who's in the play-in?
We can start talking. Who's in the play-in? Who only has one goddamn cup?
Who's not
Jake?
Guaranteed to even make the playoffs?
One cup don't matter this year, Grob.
Okay, Nige, I don't want to hear it from you.
Yeah. I'm the moderator.
I'll give you this, Greg. If anybody has any right to like intervene in this conversation, it is not Nigel, because he hasn't. They've been rebuilding since like 2012. They've been rebuilding since 2012. The third hot take: the Islanders make strong defensive plays, and their play style lets them take a deep playoff run because of Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz is probably going to carry this
like
team.
Playoff, like being a strong defensive team normally does like lead to deep playoff runs. Being able to shut an offense down is so huge.
If they didn't have Barry Trotz, they wouldn't be where they are.
That and fucking...
He's a defensive coach. That's why we won the cup with him.
Yeah, he's fucking... Like, I think they do make it... I think they are a team with a lot of deep run potential that... Like, they only need to score like 2 goals a game to win.
Yeah. I'm a little hesitant to answer this right away because I would need to see how the top 4 teams would be seeded. So, like, with them being in the 7-10 matchup, I think they'd make easy work of Florida. But if they have a matchup with the Flyers or the Bruins, I think they don't make it past the next round. I think they could beat the Capitals with their defensive play. And honestly, depending if the Lightning, I don't even know with them in the playoffs. I'm not even going to pretend to make like an argument with or against them because who knows what team you're going to get.
Well, but look what they did. Like last year, they went out of nowheres, swept, and then maybe they got swept, but still.
The difference with the Islanders this year is that they peaked too early and they've been on like a decline ever since. Breaks
like, are so interesting though, because like that can break
ever
those
since
losing
January.
Streaks.
They've been on a decline.
Yeah, see, but the thing is, with the top 4 teams, it could like Boston could very easily fall to the 2, and I think that they demolish the Islanders in a series.
Yeah,
if that's true. So it's like really difficult. I'm gonna say no. I don't think they make a deep run.
I just don't know what team's gonna come out though, right? Because like maybe they were getting a bit a bit they were getting tired by the end of the season, and I don't know if this break hurts them even more or it helps them. And then you let Barry Trotz kind of go and do his thing and kind of make some plans, and they come into this a stronger team. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about this one, but I guess I don't really think that the Islanders can go deep if they're the same team that was playing before the end of the season.
I think the Islanders' peak is if they get matched up with a team that they can do well against in the first round and maybe get past them, but I doubt it. I really do.
If the Islanders played the Flyers, I think it could be an interesting series.
I don't know, man. I think that the Flyers play style kind of I think it's a decent series. I think the only team that definitely beats the Islanders 100% is the Bruins. But them being the 2 seed's very possible.
If we get paired with the Isles, it could be kind of
that's dangerous for you.
Series for us because we don't play good against the Isles. I'm actually glad that the Flyers got a seed because we play shitty against the Flyers, really shitty against the Flyers. Even when we were playing our best this season, we were playing really bad against the Flyers. Yeah. But the next hot take is Columbus. Not even really a hot take, in my opinion. Columbus makes the Toronto Maple Leafs their bitch.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Toronto can't do shit in the playoffs. Their defense is awful.
I'd rather Toronto makes it through, narrowly makes it through, kind of makes it a close series, 3-2 or something like that. They have a bit of suspense. The fan base gets their win. We move on, blah, blah, blah. They get torched by Boston. Absolutely torched.
I need another Game 7 collapse.
That would be fun.
I wanted to beat Columbus too.
I don't think so. Here's the thing: Columbus is a team that gets hot or is not hot, and if they're hot, they do what they did to Tampa Bay last year.
They had a really good season, honestly. Their coaching is fucking superb.
Yeah. They also had Panarin last year, which is a big difference.
Without Panarin, they're fucking still good though.
I said, they're an unlucky team, and they've had the most overtime losses out of anyone.
They were still a playoff spot through division.
They have Boone Jenner. They have a pretty gritty team too. Elvis is sick.
Do I think that the Jackets can beat the Maple Leafs? Hell yeah. Do I think they, I'll quote Nigel, make them their bitch? Probably not.
I do. Fuck the Leafs.
I think they could. I think they have the potential to. Because I think expectations going to this, now that Toronto doesn't have to play Boston, they're going to be like, oh, we can roll over this team, no problem, and we'll worry about the next round when it comes. They take Columbus for granted. They get bombed on, and they lose. Or, like I said, they get through narrowly, and they get shit on by Boston. Be great hockey to watch.
Yeah.
And bet on. I know that.
Yeah.
The next one is I don't even know who plays in this, but the third in the West gets a free win as 2 shit show teams play to battle. Battle to play them,
they're
rather.
Either playing the John Hine and Roman Yossi led Nashville Predators or the fucking dog shit Coyotes.
Okay.
Yeah, god damn. I'd rather come third than first or second.
I look at this and that is the worst playoff series in all of these.
How does third get to play the Predators or the Coyotes?
Well, the Predators are fucking Predators are 6th because they've.
I don't care. They have John Hines and they only have Roman Yossi.
They've been awful since Hines though. It's been they were fucking third in the West, and then they fired.
They have a little bit of a downturn.
Fired Laviolette and hired the guy who turned the Devils into fucking rubble.
Firing Laviolette was a premature fire, just like Gallant, and they're going to regret it.
I got to be honest, the third seed in both conferences are the complete opposites. If you come third in the East, you're shitting your pants because you have to go play the Canes or the Rangers.
Because fourth, you're playing Edmonton, and Edmonton's fucking got You got to play Connie. You got to play McDavid.
Oh yeah,
I'd rather play Roman.
Third seed in the West. Third seed in the West is literally first seed.
I don't care if people are going to be like, Arizona has Phil Kessel and Taylor Hall. They've got worse since getting Taylor Hall.
That brings in a whole other conversation with tanking and stuff in the round robin games.
See, but I want Arizona to lose because if they can get like if Taylor Hall's in lottery contention and we have their pick, let's go.
Well, that's the thing that the Lightning brought up, I guess, and it doesn't even really apply to the Eastern Conference, and they're the ones that made the argument on whether these games in the round robin are going to be competitive. In the West, I can definitely see a game being thrown to get the third seed. The next hot take is the Flyers' loss of momentum lets the Caps make the Cup Finals.
I'm on this train.
I'm really.
The Flyers were
I'm not
on
even
a really
saying this.
hot momentum streak, but I think this break of play brings them down.
I don't even think the Caps will make the Cup Finals this year, and I'm not even like.
I'm thinking.
I was going to say that,
pretty,
not even to shit on you.
Yeah,
I just think the Flyers.
I've already made
the Flyers are now a really hyped team, and they've lost. Like the momentum came to a screeching halt.
I've already made my picks to win this, and I think that these this year and next year are the best chances the Caps have at winning, but I don't really think that this team that stopped at the end of the season when they stopped the season, I really don't think that was a winning team right there. I think the window for us to win with Ovechkin is closing, and just like the window to win with any good player, franchise player happens. But
to say that the loss of the Flyers momentum's a little bit specific. It's
they were they were a team that, but look at the first half of their season. It was pretty ugly. They're a team riding on a lot of momentum. And they're they came well, but
I know, but what I'm saying is with the Flyers momentum, if just as an example, if the four top teams are seeded the way that they currently are, with Washington at 3 and the Flyers at 4, they meet each other only for the Eastern Conference Final.
But I think the Flyers are a team they're in my mind the one team that can fuck the Caps just from the way they played the season.
Oh, the Islanders, man. I think the Islanders can bang them hard too.
I just don't think it's our year to win.
I'm not high on momentum teams, especially with a break.
I think the problem we have is consistency in goaltending because Braden Holtby knows he's not coming back to the Capitals, and Samsonov is too young. Samsonov is a good goalie, but he's just not there yet. He will be next year. So I don't think we have enough defense or goal because Orlov will put the puck in his own net. That's what we have to rely on in defense. Guys like Dmitry Orlov.
Wilson at least though. And Carlson.
Yeah. But it's not enough. It's just not enough. If we had a top tier defensive line, I'd be more confident in our team, but we just don't.
I think Boston rides in too cocky. So I think my pick is the Caps. I could be completely wrong. But that's my way. I think Philly loses momentum. Boston rides in way too cocky. Tampa, though, may make a deep run, probably choke somewhere.
Yeah, the final hot take is Colorado dominates the West and brings home their first cup since Patrick Waugh.
Fucking right.
Don't really think they're going to dominate, maybe, because I think Edmonton could be a dark horse.
It depends on that round robin, because I look at the teams they have to they could play. And if they one seed, there's no way they lose to Calgary or Winnipeg.
Well, the fact that they're a seeded team in the West makes them
the only team I could see an upset coming from is Edmonton, and that's if they hit the 4. I don't think the Canucks can upset them. I don't know Calgary or Winnipeg couldn't. Out of all the seeded teams, I know technically the St. Louis Blues were better on standing, but I think Colorado is the best all-around hockey team.
Yeah, well, the Blues, it's the same argument you guys were making about the Penguins. I don't think they can do it again. But the when it comes
They
to
had
Colorado.
a pretty good year, though, man.
Oh, they did. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't, but like
They have
think that
the pieces though, like Cale Makar, like Gabe Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen, Nate McKinnon.
yeah, no, I think that it's very possible that the Avs do some real damage in the West. Make a run.
They're my pick for the cup out of the West. I don't think a team can touch them right now. Dallas is like, if there's a team in the West that's too old, it's Dallas.
Oh God.
Well, Ben Bishop just flops around the net like a fish.
Bishop, like they're all fucking.
I'm not even talking about the age. Like Ben Bishop is just incompetent in that. Like he can't. Like I'm sorry to say this, Nige. Well, I probably shouldn't say it.
What?
But I'll say it. I'll say it. I'm a Marty fan, but in his old days, Marty was flopping around the net.
Yeah, he was.
And that's what Ben Bishop has done his whole career. Marty was great when he was a stand-up goaltender in the 90s, but flopped around a little bit in his later years. Ben Bishop doing it his whole life. It's his style of goaltending, and it just doesn't work.
I think my opinion, Avs take the West, so I'm going yes with that. I think they win the cup. I'm going Avs for the cup.
I say half yes because I think they could definitely win the cup this year. I just don't think they're going to dominate it. I don't think they're going to dominate the West. I think Edmonton could seriously be a dark horse and kind of challenge the Western Conference.
Yeah.
That wraps up the show for this week. And remember to follow our social media at BRBL Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and to subscribe to the Backroom Beer League YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here for the next episode.